The thunderclap shattered the silence of the night, illuminating the jagged silhouette of my family's old farmhouse against the storm-ravaged sky. I stood there, drenched to the bone, staring at the sold sign hammered into the earth like a dagger into my heart. This wasn't just land, it was my legacy. 200 acres of rolling hills and whispering pines that had been in my family for generations. But the HOA, self-proclaimed guardians of our upscale lakeside community, had stolen it from me, illegally, and as the rain mixed with the hot tears streaming down my face, a fire ignited in my chest. Revenge wasn't just an option, it was a promise. Little did they know, I was about to turn their world upside down. Legally dismantling their $10 million empire of lakefront mansions, one deed at a time. My name is Elena Ramirez, and I never imagined I'd become the villain in someone else's story, or perhaps the hero in mine. It all started 3 years ago when I inherited the property from my grandfather, a rugged old soul who had fought tooth and nail to keep our farm independent from the encroaching suburbia. The Whispering Pines Homeowners Association, HOA, had been eyeing our land for expansion, dreaming of turning it into more cookie-cutter estates with pristine lawns and overpriced amenities. But Grandpa had a clause in his will. The land was mine, free and clear, outside their jurisdiction. Or so I thought. The first sign of trouble came subtly, like a shadow creeping at dusk. I received a letter from the HOA board, politely informing me that my non-conforming property was now subject to their bylaws due to a recent annexation. My land predated their gated community by decades. But then the fines started rolling in. For unsightly barns, for livestock that allegedly violated noise ordinances, for fences that didn't match their aesthetic standards. I fought back with lawyers, draining my savings, but the HOA was a hydro cut. Off one head and 2 more appeared, backed by deep pockets and influential members. Emotionally, it was a gut punch every day. I'd wake up to the sound of birds in the ancient oaks, only to remember the noose tightening around my neck. My husband Marco tried to console me, but even he couldn't hide the worry lines etching deeper into his face. Our 2 kids, Sophia and little Tomas, played in the fields, oblivious at first, but soon they sensed the tension. "Why are you always sad, Mama?" Sophia asked one evening, her big brown eyes mirroring my own despair. I hugged her tight, swallowing the lump in my throat. This land wasn't just dirt, and it was where I had scattered my parents' ashes, where Marco proposed under a starlit sky. Losing it would mean losing pieces of my soul. The breaking point came on. A crisp autumn morning, I drove up the winding dirt road to the farm, coffee in hand, ready for a day of harvesting the last of the apples. But the gate was chained shut, a shiny new lock glinting mockingly in the sun. Posted on it was an eviction notice, stamped with the HOA's emblem. My heart pounded as I read the words, "Property sold to Whispering Pines Development LLC for community. Expansion sold." How? I hadn't signed anything. Panic surged through me like wildfire. I called my lawyer, my voice trembling. "Elena, this is bad," he said after a long pause. "They forged documents claiming eminent domain. It's illegal, but they've already transferred the deed." Rage boiled over, hot and unyielding. I stormed into the HOA's monthly meeting that evening, bursting through the doors of their opulent clubhouse overlooking the shimmering lake. The board members, smug retirees, and ambitious executives sat around a polished mahogany table, sipping wine. "You thieves," I shouted, slamming the eviction notice down. "This is fraud. My land isn't yours to sell." President Harlan Whitaker, a silver-haired tycoon with a perpetual smirk, leaned back in his chair. "Ms. Ramirez, calm down. The annexation was voted on fairly. Your property was a blight on our values. We've compensated you generously, check." "Your mail? Compensated? A paltry $50,000 for 200 acres worth millions?" It was blood money, and I wanted no part of it. That night, alone in our cramped rental apartment, we'd been forced out within days. I paced the floor, tears of frustration giving way to a cold, calculated fury. Marco held me as I sobbed, but inside, a plan was forming. I wasn't going to sue them into oblivion. Lawsuits could drag on for years, and they had the resources to bury me in appeals. No, I needed something sharper, something that hit them where it hurt, their precious lakefront properties. Those mansions, valued at over $10 million collectively, were the crown jewels of Whispering Pines. But what if I could turn the tables? What if I owned them? The suspense built over the next few months as I dove into research, my days blurring into nights of poring over dusty legal tomes and online forums. I discovered a loophole buried in the community's founding documents from the 1980s. The HOA had been established on land that was originally part of a larger estate, including my family's farm. Grandpa had sold a portion to developers, but retained mineral rights and subsurface easements across the entire area, including under the lakefront lots. Those rights, never properly severed, gave me leverage. More importantly, a forgotten covenant. In the deeds allowed the original landowner's heirs to reclaim its undeveloped or misused parcels under certain conditions. The HOA's illegal annexation, that counted as misuse, but proving it required evidence, and the board wasn't about to hand it over. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Rita, who infiltrated their records under the guise of a potential buyer. "Alina, these people are snakes," she whispered over the phone one stormy evening. "Whitaker's got ties to the county clerk. That's how they forged the docs." But I found something. Emails admitting the fraud. My pulse raced as she emailed me the files. This was it, the smoking gun. To get the danger escalated, I started getting anonymous calls, warnings to back off or else. Paranoia set in. Was that car following me? Were the shadows outside my window just trees or something? More sinister, emotionally, I was a wreck. Doubt crept in like fog over the lake. What if I failed? What if they ruined us completely? Marco begged me to stop. It's not worth our safety, me and more. But the fire in my belly wouldn't extinguish. I confided in my best friend Lena, over coffee one morning. "I'm scared," I admitted, my voice cracking. "But if I don't fight, who will? They've taken everything." She squeezed my hand, her eyes fierce. "Then make them pay, Alina. Legally. Ruthlessly." The plan crystallized. I'd use the mineral rights to file for exploratory drilling permits, which would devalue their properties overnight. But that was just the bait. The real hook was invoking the reclamation clause. With Rita's evidence, could prove the annexation voided their titles, allowing me to petition the court for reversion of the lakefront lots back to the original estate mine. It was a long shot, but if I played my cards right, I could sell those mansions out from under them legally to the highest bidder. Asterisk, asterisk. Suspense mounted as I prepared my case. I met with a shark of a lawyer, Mr. Klein, who grinned like a wolf when I laid out the details. "Is gold? Ms. Ramirez. We'll hit them with a quiet title action backed by fraud claims. But timing is. Everything filed too soon, and they'll counter." We waited, gathering affidavits from old-timers who remembered Grandpa's deals. Meanwhile, the HOA paraded their victory, breaking ground on my land for new condos. Each bulldozer scoop felt like a stab, fueling my resolve. The courtroom showdown was electric, a powder keg of tension. On the first day, I sat ramrod straight, heart hammering, as Whitaker took the stand. His lies flowed smoothly until Klein unleashed the emails. "Objection," their attorney bellowed, but the judge's eyes narrowed. "Overruled. Continue." Whitaker's face drained of color, sweat beading on his brow. The gallery murmured as evidence piled up. Forged signatures, backroom deals. I locked eyes with him, my gaze steel. This was for Grandpa, for my family, for every underdog crushed by the powerful. But the twist came mid-trial, their lawyer revealed. A counterclaim. They accused me of trespassing and sabotage, fabricating stories of vandalized equipment on the sold land. My stomach dropped. Was this their endgame, to discredit me? Klein whispered. "Stay calm, we've got this." The suspense was unbearable. Nights were sleepless, haunted by nightmares of losing everything. Sophia drew me a picture one evening, a stick-figure family on a farm with a note, "We win, Mama." It broke me, then rebuilt me stronger. In a dramatic turn, Rita testified, unveiling Hidden recordings of board meetings where they gloated over the illegal sale. It's ours now that peasant won't know what hit her, Whitaker's voice echoed in the courtroom. Gasps rippled through the audience. The judge's gavel slammed. Fraud established. Titles voided. Elation surged through me, but it was bittersweet tears. For the pain endured, triumph for justice served. With the ruling in hand, I moved swiftly. The Lakefront property's 6 sprawling estates with private docks and manicured gardens reverted to me. The residents, HOA loyalists, were given 30 days to vacate. Panic spread like wildfire. Property values plummeted as word leaked. I listed them immediately, auctioning to developers eager for the prime real estate. Bids soared past $10 million. But I savored the irony. The HOA's dream community, funded by my stolen land, now financing my fresh start. Whitaker confronted me outside. The courthouse, red-faced and sputtering. You'll regret this, Ramirez. We'll appeal. I smiled calmly, the weight of years lifting. Appeal all you want. But remember, you started this war. I just ended it. As he stormed off, a wave of cathartic release washed over me, anger, transformed into empowerment. Today, I stand on reclaimed soil, not my original farm that's now a nature preserve in Grandpa's name, but a new haven nearby. The kids run free, Marco by my side, our bond unbreakable. The HOA, dissolved in scandal, its members scattered. Revenge, served legally, tastes sweeter than any victory. And as the sun sets over the lake, I whisper to the wind, this is for you, Grandpa. The storm has passed, leaving only peace and a story to tell. Asterisk, asterisk.